the board meeting of March 25th. That's pages 1 through 4. 3B is correction, approval of the draft of the April 14th, 2021 board executive session minutes. That's on page 5. 3C, ratification of unanimous consent on the board of directors to approve our contract with Custom Gardens in the amount of $61,836.61. That's pages 6 through 10. And item 3D, another unanimous consent ratification of the board to approve a contract with James River Audiovisual Services in the amount of $3,994.33. That's on pages 11 through 12. Are there any changes or corrections anyone has to those items?
No.
All right, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes carry.
John,
next-
John, can I make a quick comment, please?
Sure.
I just want to thank you, Bruce, for putting in the contracts so the residents can all see that on the consent agenda. That's very, very helpful. And I want to reiterate what we've said before, that under the Custom Gardens, the landscaping we're doing at the 3 main intersections, we're putting in 32 dogwood trees. So those will look great. What's the approximate start date for all this, Bruce?
It's up in the air. We don't know. They've talked to June 1. We're trying to talk a little bit more with them about phasing it in. So right now, I don't know for sure. The contract, we've got June 1, but I think it's too late, but we're going to keep on working with them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we may end up having for the 3 intersections, getting one done and quickly, and then the other 2 could fall as late as the fall of the year. We're kind of out, like Bruce said, we're trying to figure all that out right now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Item 4 on the agenda, Ron, I believe this is you, the March financial statements.
Can you see my financial statements?
Yes.
Okay. For the month of March, KCSA ran an operating surplus. Looking at the financial details for the month ended March 31, KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $436,000, which is slightly over budget. Other income was budgeted this month and came in at $79,000. KCSA operating revenue after debt service and reserve funding totaled $360,000, which is $28,000 over budget. We incurred $302,000 in total operating expenses, which was $18,000 favorably under budget. So we ended the month $46,000 over the budget forecast. Add that to the budget income of $12,000, and the result for March is $58,000 of income over expenses. KCSA year-to-date results through March, KCSA homeowner assessments amounted to $1,306,000, which is $3,000 over budget. In addition, other income amounted to $196,000, which is about $43,000 over budget. These 2 income streams amounted to $1,502,000. After paying our mortgage expenses and setting aside our reserve funding, we had $1,038,000 of operating income, which is $46,000 over what we budgeted. Bringing this together, in the first 3 months of the year, we generated $1,038,000 of operating income, while operating expenses amounted to $882,000. We had budgeted for a surplus of $59,000. However, operating income was $46,000 over budget, and operating expenses was $51,000 under budget, producing a $97,000 surplus and resulting in $156,000 of revenue over expenses through March. Of special interest, homeowner resale income for the first 3 months of the year was $149,000 versus our budgeted forecast of $99,000. In the month of March, home resale income was $64,000, which is $30,000 over the forecast. Next, Now let's look at our funded reserves. As of the end of March, operating expense reserve, or OER, there was one $2,000 expenditure this month, and year to date, we've spent $45,000 on stormwater drainage. We have a balance of $735,000 in OER. Major Maintenance and Replacement Fund, or MM&R, we had no expenditures this month, and year to date, we've spent $6,000 on MM&R projects, and the MM&R fund has a balance of $6,061,000. New capital projects, or NCP, there was one expenditure for $9,000 to complete the Timmons Group contract for the KCSA strategic plan. The NCP fund has a balance of $1 million. Not on your chart, accounts receivable for March, homeowner accounts receivable for both KCSA and the parcels has a balance of $136,000, which is about $28,000 lower than February. Homeowner accounts receivable over 90 days old amounted to $91,000 and is unchanged from last month. The Budget and Finance Committee has reviewed the March financial statements, and they recommend the Board of Directors approve the March financial statements. And I move the board approve the March financial statements.
All right, thank you, Ron. Any discussion before we get a second and vote on it? Any questions for Ron?
No.
All right, hearing none, then I need a second to Ron's motion.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the statements are accepted. Thank you, Ron. Let's move to item 5 on the agenda, staff reports. We'll start out with Bruce on page 13 in your agenda materials.
Can we get that off the screen? Thank you.
Bruce?
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead. I'm glad we don't have the slides today because I had a couple of little goofs in my report that I did too quick before leaving last week. Our delinquency is currently down to 135,000. It's down, not up from 163,000 in February, and down as well from 147,000 in February of 2020. So we continue to make progress on that, and we won't let up. The next to talk about the community standards for the month of March. There were 17 new disclosures. Disclosure follow-up, there were 75. Disclosures of those 75, 16 were in compliance. Then violations were 25 that resulted in EPB applications. New violations were 106. No violations were 26. And we did 331 follow-up inspections during the month of March. Then the EPB application progress, we are at 202 through the month of March. We had right at 103 that were total applications. We're at 103 that were approved last month.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes,
Next
sir.
month, can you possibly change those colors
Sure.
so that they're just a little different from like a red, yellow, and blue or something like that? So they're a little different.
Yep. That's all that I have right now.
Okay. Jim, you want to give us an update on the KMPD?
Sure. So for the month of March in traffic, we issued 20 verbal warnings, which was a 35% increase over March of 2020. And so year to date, we've got 26, and that's a 78.7% decrease from last year this time.
Yeah, we're on page 21 in the materials, by the way.
We issued one written warning this go round, and year to date, it's the same. Traffic summonses, we issued 2. That was a 100% increase from last March. And we deployed our radar trailer for 27 days, total 648 hours. Excuse me. The total calls for service for the month of March was 135, which was a little under 19% decrease from March of 2020. And that leaves us with 290 year to date, a 54.7% decrease from last year this time. House checks, residential building checks, we did 258 for the month, which is a 1.5% decrease, and 722 year to date. Area checks, 473, which is also a decrease from March of 2020, and 1,339 for year to date, which is a decrease from last year as well.
Jim, what is an area check?
An area check is going through the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Personnel, we have 3 vacancies. As you know, we've got 2 in the academy. They are not included in the vacancies, but they'll be coming out as officers and will fill those roles. But we still have 2 certified officers and 1 PSO vacancies at the moment. Under vehicles at the time, I didn't know, but I found out this week that we are getting the new Dodge in on Monday, and it will go straight to Motorola for the equipment lights to be installed. So we should see that on the road, I would imagine, the following week. And that takes the place of the Ford Crown Vic. So we will take the decals and the lights and equipment out of 29, and it'll be donated for auction to a charity. The gate access system has been running smoothly, and basically current items of interest have just been the normal meetings that we do every month. The deer management program has come to an end for the year, so we won't see that again until the fall. And we did have a missing child investigation on March the 28th. We had a child with Down syndrome go missing, and it was beginning to be dusk, and we were concerned, so we called the county in to put more people in the neighborhood. And fortunately, we were able to locate the child and return her to her parents. And other statistics, accidents and injuries, we had a 100% decrease because we didn't have any in March. And alarms decreased by 60%. I attribute a lot of that to the fact that people are home now. And medical assists have also decreased by 36%. So if you have any other questions for me, that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Jim? Anyone?
No, thank you.
Welcome.
All right. I need a motion to accept the reports.
So
moved.
moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, reports accepted. Thank you both very much. Item 6, just a follow-up item, a couple of items there on old business. 6A, Brandon, you want to give us just a brief update on the paint cycle Little Town Quarter?
We are, the Little Town Quarter has put out not official RFPs, but just trying to get some bids, just to understand what the cost is associated so we can move forward with a plan for that. And we've had same thing with many companies and not being able, we've had vendors not being able to, or contractors not being able to follow through with a bid because they just don't have the staff to do the work. So we have another contractor coming out on Friday, and we hope to have some bids next week. And if we need to, we can present it to the board prior to the next board meeting, just to start moving forward with a plan. But so it's in progress still. It's been really tough trying to get quotes with lack of staff for the contractor side of things.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Any questions for Brandon on that? All right, item 6B, template for committee reports to be delivered at board meetings. They've been done. They're out to the board, to selected board members for comment. What we're trying to do is to make the reports coming back from both the parcels and our committee reports a little more uniform and maybe a little more targeted to what's really important for the board to know. So we hope to get these implemented in time for the May board meeting. So like I say, those are done and they're out for review as we speak. Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
Okay, let's move on to item 7, our new business section, page, let's see, this would be page 26, our 2021 election process schedule. Bruce, you want to take us through that?
Unmute. This is the standard template that we pretty much use every year, going through the entire election process from start to finish. Basically, we just changed a few dates in there at this time. Other than that, there's really no change from year in year out.
Okay, so it's consistent with what we've done in other years, just adjusted.
That's correct.
So the most important date that everybody needs to know is that July 5th is the deadline for candidates to file their petitions.
Correct.
And the vote will be accumulated September 13th at the annual meeting. Okay, item 7B, pages 27 to 30, an updated investment policy. Ron, you want to take us through that?
John, can we go back real quick and vote on that election process?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We didn't do that, did we? I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes carry. Thank you, Bruce. Item 7B, the updated investment policy, pages 27 to 30 in your materials. Ron, you want to take us through that?
Yes, this is this really formalizes the policy that the board had previously approved, but we did not put out an investment policy. What we're saying essentially is that we previously had our money in commercial savings accounts and FDI insured bond instruments. And we have made one slight change to invest in money market treasury certificates and FDI insured bonds. That's really the only change to this document, but we needed a formal document such that the auditor and everyone else follows. So I would ask the board to approve this formal investment policy. And
Ron, one question. I'm looking on section 8, prohibited investments. Item B, derivative securities.
right.
Our swap agreement on our mortgage is a credit derivative. Do we need to somehow accept that exclude that from the investment policy or deal with it in any way?
Well, that's really a loan, not an investment.
Well,
It's actually a payment, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't it like an interest payment?
yes, essentially what it does, is it stabilizes. We have a variable mortgage with the bank, and the swap agreement stabilizes that variable interest to a fixed interest. That's really what it does, and we pay for that privilege. I have no problem with exempting, if you want to make that. I'm not trying to. I just say that it's not. We don't normally treat it as an investment.
yeah, I think legally, my understanding is that credit derivatives are not actually part of the credit agreement, that they are in fact freestanding agreements.
Well, they are freestanding, but my understanding was that if we take it out, we actually purchased it as a means of stabilizing our interest, not as an.
Right. I understand why we do it. I'm not questioning why we do it for a second. It's just, is there a conflict with our investment policy agreement? Maybe we could look into that and just see if we just need some language is all.
I'll make sure of that.
Okay. All right. All right. With that edit, any other questions anybody has?
Well, I don't understand. We're just going to table this now. If you're asking him to look into something, then there's no point in voting on it.
Well, we could vote on it subject to council or whoever we check with recommending an edit, or we can table it. Either
Yeah,
way.
let's table it. That's not clean. Let's table it.
Ron, you okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
All right. Okay, then let's move on to item 7C. Littleton Quarter request to replace departing members with Pamela McHose and Bia Kylander in the landscape positions, pages 31 to 34. Let's see, Sally, is Sally with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. The two women, they are replacing Pam Michael, and the other person was Barbara Berry, who has served very well for a number of years. So we look forward to the two new members.
okay. And adding the two members still keeps you within the, whatever the quota is for the committee size?
13. We have 13 approved slots. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. And they're both appointed as landscape
Yeah,
assistants.
the landscaping, right.
Okay, so we have multiple landscape assistants, I guess. Yeah, okay.
Correct. And they do a great job of, planning annuals and things like that. So, that's why that particular subset committee, we have more than, just a few.
Okay, any other questions for Sally?
No.
No,
All right, then I need a motion to approve.
so move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion is approved. Item 7, let's see, where are we? 7D, Littleton Quarter request to amend the supplemental declarations to add leasing limitations, pages 35 to 42. Let's see, Bob?
I'm here.
All right, you're up. Bob, you want to take us through this?
Sure. Okay, short history. Pam and I have lived in Littleton Quarter for about 21 years. And throughout that time, there have been various low-level discussions of putting a limitation on the number of rental units we have. Those discussions never went anywhere until last fall at our annual meeting. With the input of several new owners, the discussion got pretty serious about putting a limitation on. And we decided that we should have a posture on that and a procedure on that. And at that point, I must have either gone to the bathroom or a household member nominated me, but I became the point person for the process.
That teach you.
That was lost at sea at first, but we were later advised by Ilya Posabet that there's a serious precedent that we could follow. River's Edge, as you all know, went through this process last spring, summer, and fall. And we were allowed to use all of their documents as a template to construct our documents. We did that throughout the winter, massaging, adding, deleting, putting in data pertinent to Littleton Quarter to replace data pertinent to River's Edge. And by mid-March, we were ready to come before you, ladies and gentlemen, for approval to proceed. At that point, however, staff made a very interesting and helpful suggestion. Regardless of how well or poorly we, Sally and I, do our homework on the documents, somebody with a legal degree has to approve it. And so before expending those monies from Littleton Quarter, staff suggested that we do a little straw poll to make sure people, all 100 people, had the same idea that we did. So over the course of about 4.5 days, we disseminated an abbreviated version of the amendment to all of our owners. And the remarkable thing is, in that 4.5 days, of the 100 owners we have and who had documentation from us, 81 responded. And of those 81, 72 responded positively, 9 responded negatively, and we didn't hear from 19. Now, that's a remarkable thing to me. I was on the parcel committee for 9 years, and I was a chair for 8. And during those years, lots of issues came before the parcel committee and the parcel as a whole. And the difficulty of those initiatives was not the virtue of the issue itself. The difficulty was getting response from 100 owners so that we could pass it or fail it. So when we made this initiative addressing our owners, and within 4.5 days, we received responses from 81 of our 100 owners, we were gratified that we're on the right track. So you have the documents as we have prepared them in your packet there, and we ask for permission to proceed with a formal blessing by a lawyer and then a formal submission to our owners by mail. So take it from there.
All right, thank you, Bob. Any questions anyone has of Bob?
Yes, this is Ed Connors, Bob.
Hey,
I don't know if Bruce has talked to you about this or not, but just to be safe, I would request that you add a sentence to your supplemental declaration ballot. I've looked over the amendment to the supplemental declaration, and as you know, it's 4 pages, single spaced legalese. And what the single most important thing that I want to make sure that anybody that votes yes on understands is that they're talking about limiting the rental to 10 living units. So if you wouldn't mind, what I'd like you to add to the ballot is right after the sentence where they vote yes, I approve the attached amendment to add section 15 leasing limitations to Article 1. I'd like you to add comma, which will allow no more than 10 living units to be rented or leased at any given time.
That's quite acceptable, Ed.
Okay, thank you.
And in that context, Ed, what you should know is at this present time, we only have 6 third-party rentals. We have 3 what we call family relationships, where an owner might be renting to a relative. And we're precluding those family relationships from the 10. So we're dealing with a margin of 4 more allowed rental prospects.
Okay, that's good information. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Anybody else have any questions of Bob? All right, I need a motion to approve as
Well,
as amended by Ed's comments.
Well, let's be clear, what we're voting on is simply to send this proposed amendment to the to council.
Correct.
Understand,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Next item is 7E. We're going to move that we still need to do a little work on that particular agenda item. So we're going to move that from today's agenda to presumably the May agenda. Item 7F, pages 51 and 52, proposal to amend KCSA rules and regulations regarding contractor hours. Ed, you want to lead that?
Sure. This is a proposal that what I'm asking the board to approve today is simply to send this out to the community in a constant contact to vote on. And if the community shows that they are interested in this proposal, then it's going to come, then we'll draft an actual regulation and it will come back to the board, knowing that we've got the approval of the community. What this amendment proposes is it's really targeted at excessive noise, especially gas-powered leaf blowers, but it's really comes under the contractor hours section of the rules and regulations. As many of you probably know, the contractor hours have been 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, probably forever. I went back and looked at the previous iteration of rules and regulations, and this was the same. I really couldn't find any before that, but I suspect that these have been the hours forever. And I think when the Bush people first drafted this, it had a lot to do with traffic and house building. And I'm not sure that they ever really anticipated noise pollution. So what we've seen in the last few years or more is just an incredible proliferation of very, very powerful gas-powered leaf blowers, also lawnmowers, hedge trimmers, chainsaws, anything that makes a tremendous amount of noise. But I'm really, the biggest offender is gas-powered leaf blowers. Right now, some of these leaf blowers produce noise in excess of 100 decibels. And the CDC says anything greater than 70 decibels can damage hearing. So the problem is that as the weather gets nicer and we all go out on our decks after 5 p.m. or after 12 noon on Saturday, there can be a contractor that's 6 houses away operating one of these gas-powered leaf blowers, and you can't even hear yourself talk to the first people on your deck. So that's really what this is targeted at. And the if you've got looked up the packet, you'll see this in the packet. It's actually, I consider it to be a very minor imposition on contractors. What I'm suggesting is that the contractors must cease to use any equipment outdoors that produces a noise level exceeding 70 decibels after 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and noon on Saturday. So that's in addition to it doesn't change the normal contractor hours. So in other words, if you have a contractor that is not producing excessive noise, they can still work until 7 p.m. on weekday, they can still work until 5 p.m. on Saturday. So this doesn't affect contractors in general. It only affects contractors that are outdoors producing excessive noise. And like I said, and also it does not affect homeowners. It's only targeted at contractors. So if your next door neighbor comes out at 6:30 on a Friday night with the leaf blower, this doesn't target that. Yeah, I wish it did, but as a lawyer, I think that I wouldn't want to end up in court over that. So that's going a little too far. Although I will point out that there are some HOAs and some cities all over the country that ban any equipment that exceeds 70 decibels all the time. Can't even use it at all. So I think knowing that, this is really kind of minor. But again, we're going to put it out in a constant contact, and all the residents can weigh in on it. And if there's a sizable number of people that are in agreement, then we'll move forward. If there aren't, then I'll shut up and you'll never hear from me again on this issue.
All right, thank you, Ed. Any questions from the board?
So Ed, on this paragraph 3 of enforcement, you want to take the survey before you actually run this past the lawyer to see if that's enforceable, right?
Yeah, because Ron, if the majority of the community says that they like the way things are and the noise doesn't bother them, then we don't even get to 3 and 4.
Okay.
Hey, Ed, this is John.
Yes, sir.
A thought just popped in my head. If homeowners are excluded, is the developer and the resort excluded as well?
Yes.
Yes. This
Yeah,
And their
rule,
and their subcontractors, like the resort subcontractors?
the rule only will apply to contractors at Kings Mill residence home. It will not apply to the resort, and it will not apply to individual homeowners.
And
Or the
staff.
golf course.
Pardon me?
And the golf course.
And the golf course, yes.
And the rec centers.
And not if it's a contractor.
Well, Jim, we can't do it. We're all contract employees, so.
Okay, any other questions for Ed?
One last question. Would it exclude contractors for home building for the developer?
Yes.
Let's see what the community, again, it's what we're concerned, all we're concerned about is excessive noise. So if a homeowner hired a landscaping company and they were at their house at 6:30 on a Friday night, and they were using little hand shears and digging a ditch and using a rake, I could care less. All we're concerned about is noise in excess of 70 decibels. So let's see what the community says. And I mean, it may be a moot point. The community may disagree with me 100%, and then there's nothing to even talk about.
So we're not voting to accept the policy and make it policy. We're voting to share it with the homeowners and see what the community thinks about.
Correct. All I'm asking the board to vote on is that we can submit this to the community and get the community to vote on whether they're interested in pursuing this or not.
Got you.
Okay. Anything else, anyone?
I just want to say, I just want to make sure that as it's presented to the community, we make it as clear as possible what areas it impacts and what areas it doesn't. I know Brandon mentioned the golf course. I don't want them to make a decision based on the problem they have with noise on the golf course or a problem they have with noise as at a home being built.
Whatever, Michael, whatever we put out in constant contact, I will send it to you and Jonathan in draft form to review before it goes out.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
John, I had a couple of questions too.
Yeah, Philip.
Ed, as I read through the policy, and I'm a novice in some of this, but I wondered how the 70 decibels would be measured. How would you know?
The police office, all the police officers, the Kmpd is going to help us enforce this. And all the police officers currently use their cell phones as part of their business, which, by the way, we don't reimburse them for. And at some point we should be talking about that. But that's another conversation for another day. But there's there's several simple apps that you can download to your cell phone that measure decibel output very easily, very quickly. So that's what they'll all use.
All right, thanks for educating me on that one. The other piece that concerned me was the enforcement side, and I know you're just getting feedback to start with, but you used the word fine. I'm not sure that KCSA has the authority to fine in Virginia as a property owners association, but the police department might have the authority to fine. If it's coming out under KCSA, we should use the word charge, not fine. If it's coming out under the police department, then we'll need to defer to an attorney on that. But that was the only other concern I had as well.
Okay. I mean, we'll, again, if the community shows support for this, we'll run it by the attorneys. But it was not contemplated that the police department would be involved in the either the charging or the fining at all. The only thing that the police officers will do is they'll go out and hand the contractor a piece of paper that says either this is your first warning or we know you've done this before, you're now being charged. And then it all kicks over to KCSA to collect. But
Gotcha.
we'll work out the details
Sure.
once we know we have support or not. I honestly, I can't even sit here and anticipate what the community would say about this.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions, Ed, you want to make your motion?
Yes, I make a motion that this board support sending the proposed amendment to the KCSA rules and regulations regarding contractor hours out to the community in the form of a survey to determine if they support this position or don't support this position.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, there you go. Item 7G on pages 53 to 58 in your agenda materials, Wareham's Point. Request to amend their supplemental to add a provision that patios outside of the courtyard and extensions to the existing landing at the base of the deck stairs be expressly prohibited. Sally, you want to bring us up to speed on this?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you fine.
Okay, good. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'll be quick. Wareham's Point is kind of a unique place. I think it was designed very carefully to afford maximum privacy and natural vistas to the pond, the ravine, and the golf course, which is pretty unique in a townhouse development. Last summer, we had an opportunity a situation that arose that appeared to encroach into the potential open space and open views. And that got the community involved, and a petition was circulated, and within a week, we were very much like Little Town Quarter. In a week, we had 76% of the 69 townhomes sign a petition along the lines of the language that you just quoted. Our PAC committee approved that in September, and it was forwarded to the KCSA and the board, and we wanted to move forward with that. We later learned that there was some concern about applying this prospectively. They wanted it would be prospectively only. And I took that back to the PAC, and the PAC again agreed that we wanted that not to be just applied prospectively, but to be applied to all owners. And the thought is just like with Little Town Quarter, where you just agreed to move forward with an amendment for the covenants that would apply to all owners and not just prospective owners. It's the same situation. When an owner buys into a community, they sign the documents, and they know in their documents there is a process which must be followed if there is to be an amendment. And that's the process we're following now. And so it is certainly fair to apply that to all owners, including new owners, but as well as past owners. And again, this is the position of our community, that we want to preserve our open vistas, our privacy, and we think the best way to do this is to limit any further hardening of the landscape by prohibiting patios and extensions to the landing. And we respectfully request that the board of directors go along with that and move this item through the process, and so that we can take it back and follow the official process to have it approved. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sally. Any questions from the board for Sally?
No, I don't have any.
Sally, I applaud you doing this, but I think there are 3 exceptions to that policy, right? And previously approved. Do those need to be enumerated so that they don't get lost in history?
I'm not sure I understand your question, Ron.
Well, aren't there we have aren't there 3 homes or 2 homes that have them now?
Well, I think the ones that would be already having them are grandfathered. They've received approval through the EPB. One of them, well, actually the EPB denied one of them, and that was overturned by the board of directors. I think those are grandfathered. I don't think we anticipate doing anything about the ones that are physically on the ground at this moment. But as far as all homeowners that are currently in the community, they could not move forward if this were to be adopted, they could not move forward and expand their landing.
Right, and I agree with that. The only thing I was saying is I think those exceptions ought to be mentioned just so they don't get lost.
Hey, Ron, this is Ed. Can I jump in? Given the fact that we're voting to send this to our attorney, Bruce, why don't you just, when you send it to the attorney, why don't you express Ron's concern and ask her as she reviews this, whether or not she feels there should be any language in there that specifies grandfathering the existing ones, and let her decide.
Okay.
Is that okay, Ron?
Well, like I said, we've been hung up on this before, where things like this, 10, 15 years down the road, we've totally lost track of it. So that's why I raised it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, but rather than us decide it, let's kick it over to the attorney.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
any other questions? All right, then, I guess we have a motion to approve Wareham's Pond's request to amend their supplemental, subject to attorney review.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, item 7H. Let's move on to approval of our 2020 audit. Ron, you want to take us through this?
Well, we have, as the board heard, I believe day before yesterday, the final out brief of the audit. The audit was clean. We've got a clean opinion, and as a matter of fact, as the board heard, there were quite laudatory comments made about the quality of the accounting contained therein by our management company, the HOI management company. So I would recommend wholeheartedly that the board approve this 2020 audit.
All right, any discussion, any questions from anyone?
No, I was very impressed with the auditor's presentation.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit on what Ron said about, we got a clean opinion. We got what's called an unqualified opinion in the accounting world. And given the different levels of assurance that independent CPA firms can confer on financial statements, this is the absolute highest they could confirm. So kudos to Ron and to the Budget and Finance Committee and to Associa for everybody's work on that. That's really good. Plus, there were no material internal control weaknesses noted at all. So that's very good. So any other questions for Ron on this?
No.
All right, need a motion to accept?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, item 7I, we're going to defer this. We have some contract issues we need to deal with. This is the contract with Lehigh Paving, so we will pick that up shortly hereafter. And the same is true with 7J. We're a little premature on this one, putting it on the agenda to begin with, so we're going to pull that off today, and it'll be coming back to the board. Let's move to item 7K. Good Neighbor Committee requests to appoint Lois Polifka as chair and Chris Lafferty as secretary for 1-year terms. That's on page 69 in your agenda materials. Lois, are you with us?
Yes.
Anything you'd like to say about this?
No, we're just, given the COVID, it's time for us to just work through finding new members and new officers. We're working on the vice president.
Okay, any questions for Lois?
No.
Okay, need a motion to approve the appointments?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. This being new business, we want to add one little thing in here. with respect to the athletic club activities. Brandon, you want to take us through that a bit?
Absolutely. So with the activity outdoors happening and with and we're getting together more often in an outdoor atmosphere due to COVID and social distancing and all of that. We've been focusing on we as a community. We have pickleball, and we've had families that are taking lessons from a local tennis instructor, and they're using our courts. And the tennis instructor had reached out to the athletics club as offering his services to helping other neighbors with their tennis game on a higher level. And so we started talking about how would that work. And so there's an opportunity where the athletics club doesn't charge a membership fee. And so when I was running it personally, I was pulling money out of my own personal accounts to pay for things. And so this is an opportunity for us to work with this instructor, and he's willing to give us a donation for us to use his services. He'll give, or for him to come on our courts and work with our neighbors and their kids and adults as well. And he would give the athletics club a donation, which could help us really put together a budget over for the next 6 weeks. And so I would like to ask the board to approve this, because we don't usually do this type of thing, but because activities are happening right now and we have this opportunity, we would like to, and these families would already be utilizing his services personally on the courts, and because it's been happening for who knows years, whenever you have a personal coach helping you on your own neighborhood grounds. So it's an opportunity, it's something new, and it's a temporary situation for 6 weeks. And it could really help the athletics club build up some budget so that they can purchase, whether it's equipment, food items, water, sanitizer, things like that for the future events happening in the upcoming months.
Right, they're just trying to be creative, like you say, and earn some money, just some startup money, basically, for some of their activities. Because everything at this point has been funded out of individual pockets, and that's not the way it really ought to happen.
And we just passed the baton for the athletics club is now being managed through Mary Kylander, which is awesome. But we don't have a budget to give her. It's not a KCSA committee. It's a organized club, and she's going to take it to and bring some life back to the club. And so this is a great opportunity for her to have some seed money to be able to, again, just even buy just the waters and sanitizer for neighbors to come out.
All right, we're talking $20 a day or something like that.
$20 a day.
They're gonna get.
Yeah.
And Bruce, you indicated you're okay with this as long as the board's okay with it, right?
I just heard about this earlier today, John. I told Mary that I would talk to you guys first before I went any further, because it's no different in my eyes than swim lessons. They run through KCSA. This is an instructor using our facilities. There's going to be wear and tear on it. In my eyes, a percentage, just like we do with the swim, just like we do with the yoga, percentages come back into KCSA to help offset a little bit of that wear and tear.
Yeah.
So I'm still a little confused, Brandon. So this individual is going to write a check for how much money are we talking about?
$20. So it's like $400.
$400. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And this check is going to be written to KCSA, and Bruce will.
No, it'll be written to the Kingsville Athletics Club.
All right. Does everyone know that that's legally permissible?
I can write a check to them.
Yeah, Mary's reestablishing the account under her name, but I had a Kingsville Athletics Club account, just like the women's club has a women's club bank account and all of that. So here's the thing, is that if we don't do it, it's fine. The families will use him personally. The Kingsville Athletics Club doesn't get anything. They're going to, if I wanted somebody to personally, if I wanted somebody to instruct my child on the tennis courts, there's nobody is policing the courts saying, oh, that instructor doesn't live here in Kingsmill. So this instructor is already working with these families. He's offering to, hey, even if we didn't add families to his daily or weekly schedule, because bank or pot of budget.
Hey, Brandon, do I understand correctly that the schedule is already completed? There's only a few open slots to this gentleman?
Because he's already has a lot of families in Kingsmill. Yeah. But there are open slots, and it is, there are family, and the thing is that some families are going to the resort because they're resort members and they can easily go and have their classes there. This is really it's probably a small handful of families that have high level tennis in their family, and if they're not a resort member already. So it might not be even pertinent to anybody new. It's just the people that are already utilizing his services.
Okay, well, I hate to be a pest, and I know it sounds minor and it sounds trivial to you two, and you think it's just nothing, but I just can't be hit with something like this at the last minute and be expected to vote on it without thinking about it or looking into it. So I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Certainly you're privileged to do that. I think the point here for me is if you follow, the rules probably do say this needs to go through KCSA, but the board on occasion can reach out and be creative as well and just say, this is not a lot of money. We don't give any money to the athletics club. And now we're saying we're going to make sure they can't earn money as well. And we just need to give them a little startup money so they can do activities that use our investment in the tennis courts and the pickleball courts and the pools and stuff like that. We get a benefit out of that. And we're talking not a lot of money here.
Don, I'd be all for finding a way to get them the money. It's me trying to understand the outside coming in. It seems so simple, but it doesn't feel that simple.
Well, it's intended to be a one-off approval. It's not an open-ended approval where any vendor can hereafter come in the gates and earn money off our courts. This is a one-shot approval we're looking for.
I've just never really been a part of one-off approvals. It's always ended up being, well, you did it last time, why aren't you doing it again?
And here's the thing is that if Michael, if you're saying you'd be open to the athletics club coming to the board and asking for a budget of $500 for the fiscal year or whatever the case is, and then we would we would just tell the families, have at it with your instructor personally. We don't need to be involved.
Personally, that's just one person here. It's a lot cleaner that way. I mean, that.
Why are we
an outside vendor? Yes. Ron, go ahead.
Well, we have a process now. We have lessons being given. We have people volunteering to come in and pay the instructor. The instructor is insured. There's no liability to KCSA. And if there's the athletic club could charge whatever they want, but that instructor should be insured and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, I'm kind of like Ed here. This is a kind of a cold deal that just got laid down, but it's different than what we're doing now, and I don't see there's the reason to just leap on it.
Well, and we don't have one piece of paper in front of us, and as far as I'm concerned, everything you all are saying is hearsay.
One thing to remind you guys, about a year ago, I guess it was probably 2 years ago now, we turned away Gym Guys, who I believe is actually a homeowner in the neighborhood, from using the facility for their profit as well. So, I mean, you kind of got two sides out there. I'm the first one to support, especially the youth out here using the facilities and doing that, but I want to just do it the right way.
Okay.
So Bruce, what happens under the current policy This guy comes in, charges 20 bucks, whatever he charges, I'm not sure. And then gives the money to KCSA, right? Whatever portion of it.
No,
Right.
no, John,
No, I think that is that wrong? I think that's right.
the KCSA pays the instructor, right, Bruce?
On the swim, that is correct. On the swim lessons, KCSA pays the instructor, you pay the fee to KCSA. Now with the yoga, we pay a percentage to the yoga instructor of the funds that are brought in during that month. I think it's 80-20, something like that. We keep 20% back for KCSA to again offset electricity, facility use, cleaning, those types of things there.
Okay, so if we did that with this, how much money would go back to the athletic club?
None.
I mean, if you do
None.
80,
That's
if
right.
you do 80-20 as well, I don't know.
I
mean,
do.
think-
The answer to that, Bruce, is the athletics club never gets any money because that's not the way anything's set up that way. So, but that's the thing. So clear, I'm okay taking this off. We thought it's new. Mary just sent it to you today. It's something, just trying to see she was told it should go to the board, yada, yada. So we could take it off the agenda. We can figure out what else we can do to massage, if anything. But it's also, these neighbors are going to use this guy anyway, so we don't have to be involved, and we just need to figure out if there's a way to support the athletics club efforts to try to get some. I can't hear you.
Brandon, just come back and put a proposal together and ask the board to vote some money for athletic club.
We'll do that.
I mean, I think everybody totally would support that.
Sounds good.
I'm not so sure.
No, I'm not either.
Well, I would support it, Brandon.
The alternative is every board member write $100 check to the athletic club. The problem goes away.
We just heard about all our surplus. We just heard a presentation of the surplus. I can't believe we wouldn't give some money to the athletic club.
Ed, before you got on the board, we had an endless discussion about getting startup money to the athletic club for the soccer field. And not to mention the pickleball rackets.
Yeah. Well, there's numerous clubs we can all support. We can write a check to the yacht club, the wives club.
No, but
why don't we write checks to them?
The difference with the yacht club, I mean, this is obviously a conversation offside of board, but the yacht club has membership dues. So the athletics club doesn't. So there's no revenue coming in. It's just,
the yacht club, the athletic club can't have membership fees?
no, they could. It's just, the hope is not to it's still, now they're just starting back up. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll take it offline. It'll be on next month's budget or next month's meeting.
All right. With that happy note, we'll move on. Very quickly, President's report, just kind of a potpourri of a few smaller things. I mentioned previously we were going to put up a children's free library box in the Mounts Bay Rec Center children's playground. That was put up about 2 weeks ago, something like that. And this is something that was originally, I guess, recommended to us by a homeowner, Laura Jenkins, and looked into it. And it's something special. You ought to check it out if you haven't. I know there have been uses, books in, books out. I've even was told that there was story time there one afternoon with some young children and using those books. So we'll see how this works out. If it continues to be used and enjoyed, then we'll think about putting them in South Hall Rec Center and Warehams Pond Rec Center. But so far, this seems to be working out well. Go by and take a look at it. Many of you know, and many of you may not know, we have a really nice unpaved trail system inside Kings Mill. 3 of us on the board met on Sunday and walked the trails. One goes from, correct me if I get this wrong, guys, one goes from South Hall Road right behind Quarter Path Trace down to the spillway. Another kind of peels off that and goes through Macaulay Mini Park across the bridge and then up to, Ron, I believe it goes to Hampton Key.
I think so, yeah.
I think so. And then the third one starts behind the South Hall Rec Center, behind the children's playground there, and continues for, I'm just going to guess and say, a half a mile, and drops you off in the middle of Whitaker's Mill. Then you walk the street back up to South Hall and you connect with the loop. So 3 really nice unpaved trails. We're starting a process now to identify some locations for benches and for seating areas along the trail, just to make it more comfortable for people. We want to put up some signage to make it more navigable, so you know exactly where you are and where you're headed. And we've got volunteer who will put together a team out of the advisory committee, the master plan advisory committee, that's going to be in charge of that and put that together for us. So that should be kind of interesting when it's done. Board has talked about future board meetings, and we think starting in May, we're going to have the board together in one, probably Mounts Bay, the large room in Mounts Bay, just the board together. And the homeowners would still be via Zoom, but it's a start anyway to normality and getting things back like they were. So we'll probably do that in May. And I suspect going forward, our meetings end up being a hybrid of both board and homeowners together at Mounts Bay, and a number of homeowners watching via Zoom at home. And that's earlier in the consent agenda, you recall we had about, I forget the exact number, $3,500 bill or something like that to James River Audio. That's to facilitate this so that we can, from an AV point of view, have what we need to be able to do that.
Hey, John,
yeah.
hey, we are scheduled for install and training next week.
Okay, good. So
we'll have an update soon.
So we're on track for May then.
Yes, we are.
Excellent. Then the last thing I want to mention is Pickleball Day. That was April 10th. We had sort of the official opening of our new pickleball courts. Formerly the 2 tennis courts there at Mounts Bay Rec Center that weren't used all that much. As a matter of fact, I would say even rarely used. That particular day, we had about between 125 and 140 people during the day that I think 95, if I'm not mistaken, actually registered. And the rest of them just kind of cruised through and checked out the activities and things like that. So big success. We had a food truck there. Everybody seemed to enjoy. And the plan is we want to do that again. And I think something will be going out shortly about some more pickleball and tennis activities. We want to get those going. And I really want to give a shout out to Mary Kylander and Laura Walters for, and they had some help from a few other people, but they really took the bull by the horns and put this all together. And just want to say they did a really, really exceptional job on that. And thank you very much. With that, let's move on to item 9 on the agenda, our standing committee reports. Ron, does Budget and Finance have anything you want to report?
The RFP for the Homeowners Association management contract is it's out with the committee right now. It's due back 30 April, and it will roll out 30 May to the board members for their comment and additions or deletions. So that's underway.
All right. I know you guys are working hard on that, Ron. Brandon, anything on communications?
I do. Communications committee also has a subgroup that is working on the bulletin redesign. And we have an amazing group of volunteers that have contributed to this committee. And they have put together a survey that is going out in regards to getting their feedback on the bulletin, how you view the bulletin, what would you like to see? Do you read it currently? And I just trying to get feedback so that we can really make this communication tool as best as it can be. And so anyway, so there's some great things happening there. And of course, we're always looking for communications volunteers for if you don't want to volunteer for the committee and you just want to maybe write some articles, or you know of something to highlight in the newsletters or newsletter bulletins, emails, anything like that. there's some great things going on in Kingsmill, and I think anybody could come up with an idea of and possibly write something up. So anyhow, but the main thing is we're getting a survey done. So and that will be going out this hopefully tomorrow, so that we can get your feedback on what you want to see in the bulletin and what you don't want to see and how you want to see it.
Yeah, you guys doing a great job there, Brandon.
I'm not taking credit for that. That is all Susan Evans. She's fantastic.
Susan, yeah, she's been great for sure.
Yeah.
Sheila, there, anything on lifestyle?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Sheila.
Hey. We'll be so excited to get back in person next month, huh? So we've had Book Nook every month. That has actually been great. We have had yoga since February, has a great turnout on that. And tonight we have the virtual paint and sip party. We have about 30 people registered for that. And if you saw the Constant Contact that just went out today, we've got the COVID vaccine drive-through. Williamsburg Drugs coming out on Tuesday. We're already getting registration for that.
That's terrific. I love that.
Yeah, we're excited about that. And then in May, we have the blood drive. We have another trivia night that we've scheduled because we had almost 100 people on the first trivia night that we did. I just wanted to also point out our Summerfest picnic. We are keeping our fingers crossed that we can go forward with this, maybe on a smaller scale, but we have had to change the date from the 5th of June to the 12th. We just found out yesterday it was due to a conflict with scheduling at the plantation. So we will be announcing that very soon. We're also planning 4th of July. I'm hoping very much we can do something with that as well. Casino night was supposed to be May 7th. We are not going to miss out on casino night. COVID is not going to stop us. So we've pushed that to September 24th. Fingers crossed that we can do that. And, Lifestyle's really, truly looking forward to some in-person events here soon. So, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll.
Excellent. Sheila, why don't you sit there so we don't have to look at Bruce anymore?
I was gonna suggest the same thing, and boy, that's where all the energy in the office is right there.
Can I ask a question? Sheila, you mentioned July, but you didn't say what about July. Are you talking about July 4th? Maybe with the parade?
Yes.
Okay. Making sure.
Yes.
Okay, any other standing committee wish to report?
Dave, I think you've got a report. Am I correct? You should be able to unmute yourself, Dave.
Yeah. I just wanted to give you guys an update because it's been a while. We've been meeting, as you know, by Zoom since November, and working with Jim. We're real excited about the data we're getting back from the new speed trailer. And I understand we're also using that to collect some other data that was going to save us a lot of money on architectural firms as we move forward with the strategic plan. A lot of benefit. I told Jim I thought that in fact the savings on that already paid for the trailer if you're going to use that data instead of hire somebody to collect it for you. We have 3 issues we've been working with internally. One was bike safety. We got an item in the bulletin on that. Both dress and warning devices on bikes, where to ride bikes. That's out. We might have to follow up on that, but I've noticed that things are improving with bike riders around the neighborhood. The second one is trip hazards on the walking paths. I've coordinated with Craig. He has in his budget, as Ron knows, to do those repairs, and that's in the plan. And Jim, I guess, is handling that. So that issue has been taken care of. And the third one, which Kmpd is still working on, is the distracted driver issue. As you know, I've had back surgery, been a lot of walking. That's the only thing I could do. I've been all over this place, all times of the day and night. And we have issues inside the community with people, and not only contractors, but also residents, a lot of residents who are using the phone while they're driving, which is now against the law in the state of Virginia. So we're working out with them, and that's basically a summary of our last 5 or 6 months.
Hey,
All right, thank you, Dave.
Dave, I'll have the parking that we discussed last month, I believe it was. We'll have that on the next agenda as well.
Okay,
At the rec
good.
center.
Yeah, I worked with Bruce and Craig on that, and I think we got a good interim solution, and hopefully there's a long-term solution when we implement the strategic plan.
Terrific. Any other committee you want to report?
So, John, this is Ed. With this new committee template, either you or Bruce are going to send an email to all the chairs and make it clear that there's an expectation that they provide that every meeting.
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yep. Any other comments or questions from the board?
No.
Thank you, John.
All right, I think we are done. So I move to adjourn. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.